And good evening, everyone. This is Gary Redmond. Welcome to episode 78 of New York Red Bulls Discussion Group, the podcast. I'm Gary Redmond. Well, we got a lot to talk about this week, among other things. Of course, naturally, we're going to talk about the match review: Columbus versus New York Red Bull. Of course, after the break, we're basically going to talk about, we have a little change around within Gotham FC, United Men's national team with Gold Cup action, and of course New York Red Bull 2, who had a pretty good game. And after that, of course, we're going to go through the match previews, and there's going to be a lot of them. We got New York Red Bull, of course, basically taking on New England on Saturday. Gotham FC will take on the Portland Thorns. New York Red Bull 2 take on NYCFC 2, plus all the final thoughts, of course, and the predictions. Now, of course, naturally, out of all this, we want to welcome all the folks who are coming on live to our live broadcast. And if you happen to miss it, no big deal. Don't worry about it, because the recording will be available on our YouTube channel and Spotify.com the very next day. You can also check out our previous episodes there as well. On Spotify.com, we have all 3 seasons and counting. And if you have any questions, comments, hot takes, suggestions, remember, this is your show, okay? Bottom line, this is your show. If you want to make it better, please let us know. And if you want to make sure that the next episode is up and coming, especially on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. So that way, when the new show comes up, new pod comes up, you'll be alerted. And then, of course, you join in on the fun right then and there. Any questions about that, please send them our way at NYRBDG, the podcast, at gmail.com. Once again, NYRBDG, the podcast, at gmail.com. And like I said, we're going to have, lots to discuss this week. Of course, we're going to talk about, of course, the disappointment in Columbus. We're going to talk about Christian Castros being sold to Toulouse FC. But before I even go any further, please allow me to introduce my 2 co-hosts, the one and only Lanre Balmostamano, and of course, hothead in chief, I guess? No, Miguel Nunez, of course, Viper FC. Gentlemen, of course, naturally, the game, of course, we got to get ready for the nation's 250th birthday. That's tomorrow. And I'm going to have a little special comment about why you guys should not be the next meme on on TikTok. Unlike my next door neighbor. We'll talk about that before we go. But first things first, let's talk about what happened on Saturday at Lower.com Field. I mean, it to me and just about everybody here, it was a match where, plain and simple, we had it in our grasp. Okay. Hernandez, of course, with the 19th minute. Emmanuel put a little bit of hope in with his fantastic header in the 38th. And then there was that goal in the 62nd minute that was off a restart. Let me repeat that. A restart. Okay. Somebody fell asleep on defense. The ball got deflected. Coronel had his hand on it, but it didn't stop it from going in the back of the net. So I'm going to ask the question to you 2 guys, and of course, everyone in the live audience. Does it feel bad, the fact that there was a penalty kick that was missed by Emmanuel? Folks are asking in the group, why was he taking that penalty kick? I'm going to leave that answer to you 2 guys. But the main question I have is this. Does it feel any worse that we had the match in our hands and then let it slip, or the fact that we really lost to a very good team in a place where we rarely win at? Lanre, you up first.
Yeah. Columbus, obviously a really good team. They've been having a good season. Couto Hernandez, who has been a brilliant signing. That flick was beautiful, by the way, and it really pissed me off seeing that go in. Despite the fact that, man for man, they are a better team than us, as we discussed on the pre-show. That game, as you said, was very much there for the taking, especially with the penalty kick that Elias missed. He scores that, it's a whole different ball game. Who knows? Maybe we go on to win. Momentum was on our side. We were attacking them. We were actually stringing decent passes together, getting some good moves together, and unfortunately, it just didn't come off. And that game could have gone either way, but sadly, it was an L. And it's another loss on 4th of July weekend, which always happens every year. God knows
every
why.
year. I mean, the annual loss around America's birthday. Miguel, there was a couple of things, little hot moments that you saw that pretty much blew your mind. But one thing in particular that we didn't mention early in the show was Omir Fernandez coming dangerously close to being suspended. He might wind up being suspended, but he threw up an elbow to a player. Did you feel surprised that somehow he got away with it?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've always had the bad luck with the refs. I think, usually they're handing out red cards, to our players. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of Omir, I would have said
that was Frankie.
I would have given the
excuse me, Frankie Amaya.
Amaya.
Sorry.
Yeah. But that's the thing about that. Okay. Amaya. That what I think you're talking about the incident where he stepped on the guy's foot, right? Is that what you're saying? That
no, he threw his.
The ref had to go and look at the screen, right?
No, he. What happened is as he was passing, I forgot the player's name, but after he was passing by him, he threw his elbow up, and it did hit his face.
Oh yeah, no. You know what? You know what?
Yeah,
because when that happened, I'm thinking that he stepped on his foot because he put his foot in front of the guy's foot. But yeah, you're right. It was like he put his arm up, but I think that guy embellished that. Okay. So I think that the ref got that right. Okay. I think the ref got that right, but it's usually the refs are sticking it to us, Gary. Okay. For stuff like that in the past, a ref would have given them, huh?
How so?
I don't know, because there's been times where there is a play like that, and there is that it's not a yellow card or it's not a red card, and the refs will take it out. Okay, and it's usually happened with our players. I don't know why. I think the refs either the refs really, really suck or they have it out for us. Okay, Gary. All right. So I think that I've got that right.
Both. Both. Yeah. I mean, the thing that kills me is that in the heat of the moment, dumb things happen. And you're right. It seems that the refs, they look for that nonsense and they slap us, pretty hard with that, Lanre. But something that, that really was a concern to me, and that is this. You got 14 matches remaining, and you have yet to convince anybody that you're worthy of a championship, of a playoff run, let alone a championship run. I mean, I've run out of, it's not my policy to give teams and coaches and players excuses, but at some point, the bell's already rung, and now we're hearing another disturbing sound, and that is the tick-tock where time is running out. So I'll pop this question over to you. Be honest. We still got time? Was time running out?
Time is definitely running out, man. It doesn't look good. And, we also said on the pre-show, our next 3 games are really tough. We got New England at home. Last year, we did do the double over them. One of them was a lucky bounce.
More on that later, but go ahead. Yep, more in our preview.
But, obviously the teams are different this year. Bruce Arena's got his boys rolling. Bobby Wood's actually doing a job for them. Surprise, surprise. And then
surprise.
And then next Wednesday, we have Cincinnati here at home, and they've had our number the last couple games. So I can't even remember the last time we beat them now. I think we've been winning in 4 against them, counting the Open Cup shootout. We lost to them back at the end of May. And then 3 days after that, on the 15th, we traveled to Salt Lake to take on RSL. And
we never win.
We never win.
I can't remember the last time we won there. It's been a while.
I can tell you the most significant time we went out there, which was the 2008 Western Conference Final.
They're still sore about that. RSL fans are still sore about that subject, honestly.
Rightly so. I mean, I don't blame.
I mean, they're trying to, they're trying to figure out how the heck we beat those guys. But then again, we weren't the team to hit the goalposts. So there you go. I mean, I know folks are going to pillar me left and right for this, but there's no shame of hiding that trophy. I'm putting it up on a wall. We won. Okay, that's the only way we got up to our first and only to date MLS Cup final appearance. So even if we're Western Conference champions, we're conference champions, for crying out loud. Put that trophy up on the wall. Be proud of something, even if it is ridiculously wrong. I want to bring up this interview that we had, of course, naturally, with Troy Lesesne shortly after the match, and we asked him questions about that, among others, how he felt knowing that they came so close, but they let it slip. So here's Troy Lesesne during the post-game
there
interview.
for the taking, probably a point or two. And aside from, of course, the penalty kick, it slipped. But can you tell me?
Oops, sorry about that.
Match, because it looks like they fought real hard, but Columbus, even with some of their stars missing, is a good team. What did you tell the guys after the final whistle?
I was incredibly proud of the effort. I think the 2 goals that we give away, we have to do better in these moments. And then when we have an opportunity like that, we have to capitalize, obviously, on the penalty. But for coming into a place that's a really difficult place to play against an opponent that I have a lot of respect for, I thought that we controlled the game, and we had a lot of opportunities to not only, get into the game with a draw with the penalty, but maybe even be in a position to win it. And that one stings, because the guys poured a lot into the game and have a lot to be happy about in terms of the progress that we've made in the last month and a half. So I think we're on the right way, and that's the last thing I told them. We're on the right way. We need to be unhappy because we could have gotten more there. I don't want to say deserved, because I don't think you can say that word when you lose. But I do think that we could have gotten more there. And if we continue to have performances like that, then we're going to, again, be on the right way towards where we want to go this season.
Next, we go to Daniel.
Obviously a tough result, as you said, and everyone else has said. If I can ask you this, Manuel played very well, scored the equalizer in the first half. Before he took his kick, did it seem the referee might have distracted him a little bit, because he kind of had his hand down to freeze him? Maybe I could be wrong.
They said that they were checking something else. I don't know why the check wouldn't be complete whenever you decided to put the penalty taker on the penalty spot. This makes no sense to me, and this needs to be answered. So I appreciate that question, and I appreciate that observation, because I don't know why that's the case. If you are checking something, then the check should be complete before you put the penalty taker on the spot.
We'll go back to Garry.
It seemed toward the end of the second half, one of your players dodged a bullet by a clear elbow going to one of the players' neck. Although he didn't receive a red card, you were anticipating hearing it from the league later on, as you get yourself ready for New England.
I have no idea. I think these things are, if that's what's reviewed, then we'll just have to accept it whenever it comes. But I have no idea, and I'm happy to see that it was reviewed. And if they didn't think that it was a red, then that's what I hope is the judgment for going into next week.
Next, we go to Michael Batista.
Coach, tough result. Coming off of last game, it's always going to be hard for players like Daniel Edelman or Frankie Maya to do what they did in the last game, follow up those performances. Can you talk about how they played tonight, especially Frankie?
Yeah, I thought Frankie had a very, very good night, as did Daniel Edelman, as did Peter Stroud, all in the center of the field. They all added different qualities to the game. And for Frankie, he had a big assignment in terms of how he had to step out onto what's been one of the best sixes in the league's history the last 10 years, both for Portland and Atlanta and Columbus and Darlington Nagbe. And I thought Frankie did a very good job. And Daniel Edelman did an excellent job as well. I only changed him because of the way the game was going. He was on a yellow, as well as I thought Peter could add something a little bit different, and he did.
Next, we'll go back to Daniel.
Troy, talk about Reyes, please. Once again, another solid effort from him. I know he took it to that shot right in the midsection. Glad he was able to come back, especially that run back play where he stopped that opportunity late in the match to prevent a 3-1 lead for Columbus. His play's been tremendous.
Yeah, you said it. I think the thing that I told Andres after the game is he's put together a lot of really good performances for us this year, but this was different tonight. This was a different level in every phase of the game, and he's continuing to grow and mature into someone that we really depend on as a leader too, which I like to see, because he's playing in a pivotal position. And what I'd like to do is reward him and Sean and Carlos and Cam and Kyle with a couple more goals and take some of the pressure off of them, because they've all defended incredibly well tonight.
I don't see any more questions. We'll go back to Garry.
Speaking of a couple of more goals, at this point, do you think that Van Zier deserves a start against New England next week?
Yeah, I just want to make sure physically he's okay. I think he was in such a good way coming off of that Charlotte game, and in terms of performance. But yeah, just a little something that we want to make sure that isn't going to be a bigger issue. And I think we've done that tonight, even by still making sure that we bring him back in the right fashion for the injury that he did have. So yeah, believe me, he's someone that I want to be on the field, because I do think he can create and score goals, no doubt about it.
Hey everyone, we have time for one more question with Troy, if anybody has one. If not, we'll let him go. Everyone good? Coach, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, that's it. So what did you hear and pick up, during the exchange with the media, with Troy Lesane? It seems to me that he was more disappointed in the fact that they had an opportunity but let slip, although he did respect the team as far as, their chances and all. But I think we overstate the obvious right now. Clock is ticking, and while I don't see where he's basically feeling any pressure at this point, there certainly is where the demands of the fan base is saying, okay, look, if you're not going to sign anybody, at least make a deep run or something. Make us believe that this squad has has what it takes to make a run. Miguel, I'm going to start with you based on what you heard.
Well, yeah, I'll be based on that.
Chiefly what's your questions about about Troy at this point? We talked about his validity being head coach. Does he do you feel that you should give him a chance to take the interim tag off him?
Well, yeah, Garry, they should take it off him right now. He should be the head coach, not the interim coach. Okay,
and I'm going to explain to the world why.
What? Because Pep Guardiola couldn't do a job with this team. Why not let that guy take him? That's it. That's all there is to it.
For the record, a lot of people are still upset the fact that this club actually interviewed Pep Guardiola for your position of head coach before they settled on Pecky. Just wanted to make that clear. That's why we keep mentioning his name.
What?
We did.
He took us.
We did. Verified.
He took a sabbatical. He was living in New York. That's
very true.
Red Bull games,
verified.
Man.
I asked.
Oh my God!
I said, did we actually interview this guy? The answer was yes. Now, while Lanre goes out to punch a wall,
he's disgusted.
Well, he's about to punch a wall, poor guy, and about to lose his mind. I didn't mean to do that to you, Lanre, but yeah.
Mr. Lesane sounded very disappointed because he knows what's at stake. Every point drop moves us closer to not making the playoffs. Okay, we could have had at least 1 point there. We're 3 points out of the playoffs right now.
Correct. Right.
But we could have been 2 points. We could have even won the game. I'm going to give you something, Gary. I know to all you Carlos Coronel fans. Okay, he definitely had a howler in this game because he should have stopped that. He should have. He should have stopped that second Columbus goal.
Nope.
And Elias Manuel, it's a penalty. He should have stuck it in. It should be almost automatic, these penalties. But it is what it is. Okay, and I'm going to tell you something else. You can't win MLS Cup in July. Okay, so
but you can pretty much lose it.
but we're right there, Gary.
You can pretty much lose it.
I mean, if we start losing, then we're not going to be right there. But so far, we're only 3 points out of playoff contention. Okay, and that's it. I think Mr. Lassane is doing as good as a job as he can with what he has to work with. Okay, and did we talk about Christian Cáceres being?
Christian Cáceres, of course, was sold. While everyone was pretty much commiserating the loss, of course, naturally, way before that, the team and the fans got hit with news that Christian Cáceres has been sold to Toulouse FC in the in the French league. Now, he was, a lot of folks didn't know what they expected with Christian Cáceres, but he certainly has blossomed when he came from New York Red Bull 2, and he certainly became one of our better midfielders. The thing that really bugs me about it is that, okay, we knew that he was going to leave at season's end. There was just no way around it. I mean, it was the worst, kept secret of the entire team. So rather than, selling him to a club that wanted him, good luck over in the French league. I think he's going to do very well because I do believe he's got that type of talent. Second, it's better to sell your players than let these guys walk off in the free. Okay, and so the Red Bulls stand to get about a $1 million based on performance and everything else. And remember, just like every other transaction, the league does take a cut. Okay, so it all depends on how much they do take a cut when it's all said and done. But I want to hear a lot of folks' thoughts, especially in the live audience. Does the transaction help or hurt the team down the line? That's a very important question when asked for the folks over in the live game. But we're going to start off with you, Lanre. We know this guy's a baller, okay?
Yeah.
But to me, we've seen flashes of his brilliance. It wasn't really, sustainable. He was here in some cases, gone and not. But you cannot, you cannot dismiss his presence on the team because, especially this season, what happens during a contract year, right? It's almost like what's that term we like to hear from? What's that? What Shaq said it best? You're playing with your resume. Basically, you're shopping. You know you're going to get shopped around, so you play above you play above what you're expected to do, even if your team is going downhill somewhat. He definitely had a presence in the midfield.
He did.
Does it help? Does it hurt that he's gone? Or do we have more than enough or do we got more than enough players, to stem the tide? Because it seems that once he was gone, the logjam was loosened and dude stepped up.
Yeah. I do think it kind of hurts because, even though we do have a logjam, especially in the holding midfield, Cáceres, however consistent or inconsistent he was on any given night, the man has talent. And honestly, I thought we could have gotten maybe more for him. It's just unfortunate.
That's our transfer window. You might be right. Go ahead.
I think we could have gotten more for him. It's just unfortunate that it's a contract year. And he was going to leave anyway. He gave us a lot of good years. I think he was here for 6 years. Jesus, man! How many?
That's a career for Red Bull ballers. I mean, they're here and they're gone. I mean, but he's been around, So he's definitely a staying power. Miguel.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead. Finish with Lanre.
I think we do have more than enough bodies, especially with Edelman and Amaya and Drew Yearwood, if Troy uses him properly. to make up for the departure of Cáceres. But I mean, rumors also say that Edelman's on his way out, maybe to Holland or Belgium as well.
Teams are looking at him.
That's not too soon. Hopefully
Yeah,
that waits till the winter. Hopefully Tolkien, he's a left back. Hopefully Tolkien doesn't leave.
Tolkien's gone after this year. I mean, there's no.
Yeah, surely.
I mean, I'd be shocked if I see him in the Red Bull uniform next season. Honestly,
Very.
I mean, if he's still here, when it's all said and done, something went wrong. Plain simple,
Agreed.
Something went wrong because there are a lot of clubs looking at him, including a few in Major League Soccer. That's what.
No one else in MLS can have him. Tell him to kick rocks, bro.
Hey, I do believe there's one squad, San Diego, coming in, and there is some sort of a draft, but they're not going to get him. They're not going to get him. Miguel, let's focus. Let's really focus on not the Cáceres who's departing. Let's focus on the guy, the midfielders who are still here. This was something that you, me, everyone discussed. Basically, this was going to be the make or break position for this team if they're going to go or don't go to the playoffs. With Cáceres being a big piece, and you have another big piece sitting, in the injury reserve. He might be coming. He might come back or not. Do you feel as confident or not much confident with the guys on the squad right now?
Oh, no. I don't feel confident at all. Okay. Yeah. With Morgan out, Morgan was our best player last year, and he might not even come back this season. Okay. So he's a big loss. Okay. Garry, all you got to do is look at the team we just faced. Look at those players that they have.
I've seen it.
Okay. I mean,
every time I see a crew like that, I wish that was our crew. Once upon a time, that was our crew back in 2018. But go ahead.
Yeah, if we had some players of that quality, Garry, Zelarayan, Cucho. Okay, come on.
You shopped around. Could have had. I don't know if we could have had Cucho, but it all depends on two factors, and I've said this more than once to everyone in the group. Okay, factor number one, it's not necessarily the money. Factor number two, it's not necessarily. I know a lot of people say, "Well, it's definitely the money." No, it's not quite the money because that money comes after the effect. The thing is, how bad do you want this baller? And for all intents and purposes, I hear Red Bull is looking, but don't see it. Okay,
you just don't want to put up the money, Garry.
Right. Don't see
that guy, Cucho. They paid Watford. Columbus paid Watford.
But they have
for that
people
transfer.
that went. See, but here's the point I'm trying to get, Miguel.
Okay, go ahead.
And everyone is trying to make. They went out and got him. That was the big difference. Okay, we'll look at that guy and go, never mind.
This is what I'm saying, Garry. we're talking about Zelarayan. We're talking about Cucho Hernandez. There's a team down south of us, man. Okay, in Florida, at the very tip of Florida, that is being linked with every superstar player that played for Barcelona, man.
There's a couple of guys down there I wouldn't mind seeing the red jersey, honestly. It's a couple of guys I would love to see in red
You've
jersey.
been chilling about this for 2 weeks, dog. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, bro.
2 weeks.
I'm surprised you're not wearing your Miami jersey right now, bro.
God, please. It's an order, man.
Miami. I don't want to hear about Miami.
You show the black and pink. That would be the last time you'd be on
Garry.
Real talk, bro.
What I'm asking you, I'm not even asking for them to sign Messi or Sergio, whatever the hell, or Jordi Alba, whatever. I'm asking them to sign.
Okay, hold on. Let me just stop you right there.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
I know a lot of people are screaming, big names and all that other stuff. Yeah.
I'm not screaming big names. Look, I'm screaming Zelarayan. I'm screaming Cucho Hernandez type players, Garry. Okay.
I mean, and they're there, and they're there to be gotten, but they don't come cheap. So, they don't come cheap. I mean, that's the difference between New York Red Bull And that's the difference between Columbus Crew SC. Their ownership and their brain trust and their peeps, they knew the talent, what they wanted to get, and got it. And it was certainly not because of the current coach that got. This was the coach before him, and they fired him because they brought him all that talent, and they went nowhere. Okay. This is probably the reason, right? This is probably the reason why I said, hey, get Caleb Porter.
He won MLS Cup twice, Garry.
Yeah, get Caleb Porter. But
beating us for one of them. Beating us for the first one.
You got the first one. And what has he done since? This is a what have you done for me lately business, okay? Cold, hard facts. So
what has our team done ever?
Nothing. I mean, well,
nothing else.
Nothing. All we've done is existing. But what the fans are asking, plain and simple, is give us a team that, that is going to contend for something and have it said with a straight face. Now, it's not up to the fans. I mean, I've said this, many times. It's certainly not up to the fans. You said it, Lanre. You said it, Miguel. It's not up to the fans. It's up to it's up to the people running the club, just how serious you want a championship. And right now, all the evidence is not pointing. You're not. I mean, you're there in spirit, but we don't see it. And you want to know why? Every time when we come in every Saturday, we see waves of nothing more than empty seats. This, and it's not just us, guys. Okay, it's not just us. NYCFC is suffering the same fate. Okay, they won a cup. Okay. And fans are not they thought that fans were going to be outdrawing us. They're not. Okay. Main reason why I said they don't really have a stable facility, but they will in about a few years. And then when that happens, what are you going to do, Red Bull? I know you're going to open up a fantastic, training center that from the renderings I saw is going to be nothing short than badass. But are you going to have the ballers to match it? And that's the number one question. I'm not asking for this team to be in the back page every week. Sorry, the Mets and the Yankees are going to own that all day, every day. But, we hear this question from the group almost all the time. Okay, when does this team, never mind the team, when does this organization step up? And on that note, we're going to take a break because afterwards we're going to talk about, of course, Gotham FC. We're going to talk about New York Red Bull 2. And then men's national team, they they broke out the goals on their way to owning the group. This is going to be a fun summer, guys. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be. But first, before we go any further, let's talk about some final scores of Week 22 of Major League Soccer. Okay, naturally, there were some other games that took place while we were all getting annoyed. That took place naturally on Saturday, but on Sunday there was tons of games to go around, and we're going to talk about one of them. First of all, let's discuss what happened over in Red Bull Arena between Gotham FC and Angel City FC. The good news is, well, they held Angel City scoreless. The bad news is they didn't score themselves. Okay, fellas, what's going on with Gotham over there? I mean, I don't want to put too much pressure on these guys, but once upon a time, these guys were in first place. Since then, they've been dropping points. I mean, they're in fifth place overall in the league. There are no conferences in the NWSL. There's just single table, something that most of us soccer heads love, okay? But they're sitting in fifth, but once upon a time, they're in first. And since then, we were singing their praises. We were saying, hey, Way to go, Gotham. Since then, they've been dropping points. Lanre, you've been following them a little bit. What is with this squad? I mean, are they trying to put things together or nah?
It seems to be like they are trying to put things together, but I mean, they've only had one win since the end of May, and that's definitely a little concerning.
Wow.
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
they're still in the top half of the. Of course, they're still in the top half of the table. You know, they're 5th place right now. They are still at the playoff spot, but they are clinging onto it. Kind of,
Yeah.
you know, they're just 4 points ahead of Houston in 7th. So, you know, they've had some injuries, they've had some losses of form. Obviously, you know, they're going to have players going to the World Cup now. So that's another thing they have.
I think the 3 has already gone to the Nats from Gotham, right? Actually, 4. Yeah, and Linwood, and 1 went to I mean, that's a big fat feather, you know, definitely that's a big fat feather in the cap for that organization. Well done to them. Yeah. And you know, this, you know, there was a lot of excitement generated by this team, and although they haven't, they had like almost one big crowd. Of course, naturally, they went to go see Miss Morgan. And nobody else. Everyone, all other matches, of course, were all in front of, you know, friends and, you know, friends and family and such. And the crowd was announced was 4,991. Miguel, the United States men's national team, and of course Trinidad and Tobago got together for the 3rd and final match in group phase in the of course in 2023 Gold Cup. And to apologies to my Trinidadian friends, the United States trucked them 6-0. I mean, it wasn't even a fair fight. I mean, dudes just showed up, and the United States is, you know, and it wasn't even their starting squad. Okay, it was basically the guys off the bench, and they ran around, under, and through Trinidad to Tobago. Jesus Ferreira. Everyone loves to talk about this player, Miguel. I mean, that they want him starting, and for some reason he doesn't, and yet he proved the case. He scored 3 goals, 1 in the 14th, 1 in the 38th, 1 in just 3 minutes in the stoppage time in the first half on a penalty. Caden Cowell, he got his in the 66th. Mr. Buzio got his in the 79th. And, of course, Cincinnati, FC Cincinnati's Mr. Vasquez. I'm getting tired of talking about these guys. We're going to be talking to them again. Scored just before the end of the match. They got Guatemala, okay, in the knockout round. Okay, we've seen this team so far. Are they going to defend their title or nah? Based on what you've seen with this squad.
Well, you know what? Based on what I've seen so far, and I haven't watched. I've watched highlights, you know, but it's definitely not their. I don't know if it's their. It's a B/C squad of the United States. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who they're gonna bring out for that game against Guatemala, but I would imagine they should take it seriously, or else they're gonna get knocked out. Okay, because then you start getting these like pretty good Central American teams. Okay, and they might go out. Okay, and as a matter of fact, you mentioned that guy Vasquez for FC Cincinnati. He's rumored to be sold off to some European team this summer. Okay. And
this summer, yeah,
and I'd love to have that guy here. I'd love to have Jesus Ferreira here, Garry. Okay, some of these guys, come on, man.
Who are you kidding? Who you kidding?
Oh my God!
Anybody from FC Dallas can't be bad. Axe Dax. Okay.
Yeah. So
you know
what this 6-0 scoreline, I wouldn't read too much. On it, okay. It was a weak TNT squad, okay. But now it's getting serious, okay. Now it's like knockout stage, you know.
Okay, and Lanre, you're correct. They're not officially facing Guatemala, not yet. Okay, that group has one more game to compete. Could be Canada, but as it stands right now, Canada is on the outside looking in. They need to win that next game and pronto. And they need to not only win that next game, they need to score goals. Because if they walk out of there with just a 0-0 or 1-1 draw, they finished. And then we will wind up getting Guatemala. So that's pretty much where it stands right now. United States very comfortably. They win in their group. They're just waiting on the next opponent, and then we'll see what happens there. New York Red Bulls, too. Remember them? They're winning 2 in a row. Remember when we were really worried about this club? You know, they're hot, they're cold, they're hot, they're cold. They're heating up, okay? They went down to Inter Miami, who was having a very rough go about it in this season. I mean, we're talking about, a bunch of kids and whatnot. And they got pasted 3-0, okay, to the New York Red Bulls, too. The Young Guns just went off, okay? Mr. Sabufu in the 14th minute. Mr. Mullings came up and with a goal in his, and Mullings has scored now 3 straight goals, and the guy's on a scoring streak. You can't stop scoring now. And then Mr. Kasule added one more for good measure on the penalty. There was one bad news, according to my stat sheet. It seems that Mr. Jaden Reed, okay. The guy really needs to control himself. The man's a foul magnet. He picked up his second yellow. They're going to miss him in the next match. Your thoughts on this team, Lanre? I mean, we've been following them on and off. They've been hot and cold here and there, but there's a couple of players that you do like. And Mark, who's not on air right now, he's been singing his praises. One of them, of course, is Mullings and Consule.
Yeah, Avante Mullings, we've seen him play a couple games with the first team, when he was coming up on a short-term contract. Yeah, that kid's a baller to me. Honestly, I'd like him over Kyle Duncan in that right back spot as a starter. He's got a lot of verve, he's got a lot of speed, skill. He's got tenacity, which is what I really like.
He's fearless.
Very fearless.
That dude just takes on attackers like it's not just attackers, midfielders. His technical game needs a little work, just like everybody else is coming up from 2. But I think he's got enough to maybe earn a contract for next year. But do you feel that and this is the question also, Mark? I know you're out there with the audience. Do you guys feel that he should be on the first team next year, or do you think he's a year away?
I think he should.
Him and Afori, of course, are the big card magnet.
Yeah,
he's talking about Jalen Reed. Jalen Reed is just I don't know. He's got talent, but his head is just he's got to get out of thug mode. Every time I turn around, he's trying to tackle people. He's trying to take the heads off of everybody, which is ridiculously strange. Let's talk about, of course, now we talked about the teams in question. Let's talk about how they're going to be facing off. Let's start off, of course, naturally with New York Red Bull versus New England. And I got to ask, okay, is this a big game, or this is the homestand that makes or break the season? Okay, we're not just, in case anybody was wondering about New England, they're that team that's sitting right now just underneath, not too long away from FC Cincinnati in the Eastern Conference. Our old friend, and when I say our old friend, we're talking about a former head coach, Bruce Arena. He's got those guys balling. Okay. It's just simply, not funny how these guys, are, rolling, they're sitting right now in third place. Excuse me. FC Cincinnati is right now sitting with 44 points, Nashville with 38. New England is right behind Nashville, then Columbus, then Philadelphia, then Atlanta, then Orlando City, then Montreal, then DC United, and Charlotte, then New York City, then us. We're sitting in 12th place. So, this isn't, a game where they have a chance to pick up some points. They cannot afford to drop them. Miguel, do you feel the same? Yes or no?
Well, yeah, I definitely feel the same. It's 2 upcoming games, one on this next Saturday, and then one the following Wednesday against 2 of the strongest teams in the Eastern Conference.
3 games in 7 days, folks. This is the crucible.
Yeah,
part of the schedule that MLS is famous for.
But yeah, let me tell let me tell you
Saturday,
something that
Wednesday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So that's basically how that works.
It would be like unthinkable for them to lose those 2 games, Gary. Okay. They have to win and then draw at the very least to keep pace in the fight to get into the playoffs. Okay. If they lose 2 games, it would be a catastrophe, Gary. Okay. And like you've said before, I've said it. You can't win MLS Cup, blah blah blah, in the X month, but you can definitely lose it. So this would be a case of that they're going to be falling into a hole that they might not be able to get out of if they lose 2. I'm calling.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they got to win 1 and tie another one at the very least. Go ahead.
You're looking at 9 points, Lanre. They need at least 7. Is it doable? Or it's a stiff hill to climb.
No, it's not doable.
Okay.
I'm straight up going to tell you it's not.
We're talking 3 straight losses here.
2 L's and a draw, so 1 point on a 9. I think we get the point in Salt Lake, or maybe in Cincinnati because we don't do well. We're not doing well on the road this year. We don't do well against Western Conference teams. Period. New England.
Honestly, I don't see us winning in Cincinnati. I don't see us winning at Real Salt
We're
Lake.
playing
I do see us getting a game against New England at home.
Really interesting, because this is not the same. This is not exactly the same team that we swept in the regular season. A year ago.
No, they've improved
for me,
big time.
Games against New England are always big because I don't know what you think, but New England are always kind of, to me, they've always been like a rival, just a New York, New England sports rivalry. I personally, I've always hated New England, especially since 2014, that Jermaine Jones scissor tackle. It still pisses me off. We've never beaten them in the playoffs. I can't get over it. I can't get over that Jermaine Jones scissor tackle and then him scoring the winner in that first leg in 2014 in the Eastern Conference Final. We were robbed that year. We would have beaten the Galaxy, by the way. We would have beaten the Galaxy. You can't tell me otherwise, man. But
we didn't get there. So
here. Yeah, this is a big game. I don't know. I don't think we have the firepower to beat these guys, to be honest with you. They got Carlos Heel. He's having an MVP type season again.
But the only person stopping right now is Hani Mukhtar, who's playing out of his mind right now. I mean, you can't stop this dude. I mean, that's Hani Mukhtar, and then you're dealing with you're dealing with Carlos Gill, who was basically a magician in midfield. I mean, he's someone that we were hoping that Lukinis would, and even Kaku for that matter. We definitely need because once he gets loose, they score in bunches, and then of course you add a former U.S. men's national teamer in the mix, and he's playing like he's playing Bobby Wood, and he's playing like he's playing with Bruce again. I mean, it's something there's something that's some special spice that's going on in New England, but yet they've been to the Cup final 5 times and haven't won squad douche. Okay, and then you're gonna go to Cincy where you're looking at a knife fight. You're looking at a knife fight. Part 2, and I think we're going to be in the losing end of that. That's the match that really is going to have me nervous. It's like, okay, it becomes, I hate to use catchphrases because it never goes well with me. These are 3 must-win matches, and something tells me we're going to lose all of them, starting with New England. But I like our chances at home. On the road, different story. Miguel, can you convince me and others that these dudes have a chance in New England?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they definitely have more of a chance against New England than at Real Salt Lake. Okay. In my honest opinion, they seem to not do well against Western Conference teams. The travel, the altitude. I would say I would call that game at Real Salt Lake a loss. Okay. and they should try to pick up all 6 points on offer against the Western Conference teams.
Oh, by the way, since he's at Cincinnati Road, excuse me, Cincinnati is at home. The road game, of course, is Real Salt Lake. These are two very important games. Saturday, Wednesday. You need max points.
Yeah,
excuse me. And you need max points out of both of them if you're gonna make your case to make your move, to the playoff spot. You lose them both. That window becomes smaller because of the club. You haven't even faced DC yet, and you haven't faced. I think we're done with Philly. I think we got Philly one more time with them on the road. It's going to get each of those conference games are going to get a lot tougher, and and you're right, Miguel. I mean, he's had Premier League experience. I mean, he scored 5 goals at Watford. Cucho. I mean, obviously MLS is not even in the same stratosphere as that league, and they went out and got him. So there you go with there. Gotham FC is playing Portland Thorns next at home on Sunday. That's the thing that kills me. Okay, they're playing on Sunday. My goddaughter, she wants to go see Gotham, but she's not available on Sundays. This is a big match as well. At some point, when does Gotham say, okay, we need to win some of the home folks? Because while 5th place is fine, they need to step up here. I mean, the shine, or should I say the luster is beginning to, wear off at that point. At some point, you have to tell your fans, hey, we're serious in winning games. You said that before the season. I think you need to start backing it up. You agree?
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, they did play down to their competition this past weekend. When
we've heard this before.
Yeah, how familiar that is.
It sound familiar? Playing down the competition. I thought we were the cornerstone in that, in that nonsense. But
right over the ladies, sadly.
Well,
and now, this next game is against Portland. They're second in the league. They're 1 point behind Courage. They're 3 points ahead of Gotham, but they're only 1 behind North Carolina Courage. Very, very tight league in WSL right now. These are the types of games that you want to win if you want to make a statement and announce yourselves as contenders. Gotham had a good run going earlier in the season. They've slipped a little bit from that. If they want to prove to their fans and to observers around the league that they are ready to take that next step and become a serious contender in this league, that's the type of game they need to win.
They lost a couple of pieces naturally because of the upcoming World Cup. But they're still a quality side. I mean, and that's the thing that's shaking that's got me scratching my head and everyone else, including yours. Like, wait a minute. With this crew, you managed to win in first place. Now, without them, it's going to get a little hairy without them, but they're still a quality side. Portland is no joke. Okay, they're in second, they're up there for a reason. So it's gonna be a tight game. Fans go out and and of course you got a terrific weekend, right? You got the Red Bulls on Saturday, you got the Gotham girls on Sunday, and of course we're going to dovetail that with New York Red Bulls 2, and they play in 9. They're playing, once again for third time, New York City FC 2. Now, the two teams, they won each game. The first meeting, of course, they won. Second over in Benson Field, they lost 3-1. Third game, this is going to be a rubber match. But here's the kicker, though. They won 2 straight. They're looking for 3. This team is warming up at the right time, Miguel. This is a side that once was kind of forgettable. These were kids that you really didn't want to. It was, remember, we talked about like friends and family and nothing but else. But there's a couple of players that we talked about earlier in the show that are, they're opening up your eyes somewhat. Do you see a decent sized crowd, for New York Red Bull? Of course, naturally, it's the third round of the Hudson River Derby. I wish it would just keep it at 2 games and nothing. But this is an uneven, schedule for a league. We're going to definitely talk about the coach, before that, before it kicks off. Is this is this team worthy of your time? Is what I'm basically trying to get at.
Yeah, I mean, as fans, it's definitely worthy of our time. Okay. At this point, Gary, I have to be honest. I'm not like massively invested. Okay, in going to see these games. Okay, because I'm not one of these guys that I gotta go to the game. I gotta party with my friends. I gotta get drunk as drunk as crap. I want to. And there's a lot of people like that, including a bunch of my friends. That's why they go. They want to hang out with people, their friends. They want to drink a lot of beer. And you know what? It doesn't matter what the results are. Okay.
Mm.
It matters to me, Gary. Okay.
I knew that was
right. I want to win.
I'm saying this in my head. Wait for it.
Oh my God.
I knew that was coming. Of course, our fourth final feature goes to United States versus Guatemala. This isn't, they have an asterisk next to that because we don't know if that's the team the United States is going to face. But at the moment, based on results, right, they still have one more game to go in that group. Canada may have a slim chance of being the second team in second place in Group D. This is what we're talking about. Group A is all done and dusted as far as their matches are concerned. Mexico, surprise, surprise, they wound up losing to Qatar. Please don't, please don't ask me how they did it. I mean, talk about lost generation. Yikes! I mean, you think fans are here going nuts on Twitter. You should see the Mexican national team fans. Oh man, they want to kill everybody. But
Literally.
The only way the United States are going to face these guys if we probably meet them in the final. The way it's always been set up. Way to go, CONCACAF. But United States is strong, a lot stronger than a lot of people think. However, I see bumps in the road. There's a couple of matches, Lanre, that I saw that made me go, they need to tighten that up a little bit if they're going to be facing a lot of those other squads that are not afraid to play the States, and they might offer bumps in the road. You agree?
Yeah.
Forget Mexico for a second, okay? We're talking about Guatemala. It always plays them tough, and such. That's even if they get to Mexico, which has always been a knife fight. But these, other countries, they got a lot to prove, and nothing will bring them home to the home folks to bring them El Salvador, Guatemala, but Jamaica of all things, give me with a scalp.
Yeah, Jamaica, honestly, were unfortunate to not win that first game. That definitely showed some weaknesses, some little cracks, especially in the U.S. defense, maybe in the U.S. midfield. The last two games have been flawless, but then again, they've been against rather weak opposition. Once we get to the quarterfinals, I think we'll see some real tests in the U.S.
That's true, yeah.
Whoever they play. I also thought it was really funny. You used the word knife fight when describing Mexico. Someone literally got stabbed at that game yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Somebody, security needs to come up with that. What's with those guys? I mean, come on, you're supposed to come up and have a good time. Have a good time. Knock it off with with the P chant, okay, to kick off, okay, and just have a good time. So these are the four games we're all looking at. Of course, the one that we're looking at, of course, Red Bull New York versus New England is going to, it's going to also include scoreboard watching because remember, we're 3 points behind, in the, for the last table, as I say, for the playoffs, and I think in a sense, I mean, my final question before we go into predictions at this point. If it's better to not make the playoffs for the 14th time, is it necessary? I'm going to ask those questions directly to you two.
Yes. Honestly, we're just going to get bounced out first round. And it wouldn't be an indictment on Troy if we miss the playoffs. That's for sure. I just
no.
don't see what this club
Well,
can
okay.
achieve.
You know what I feel about? Okay, you know what I feel about making the playoffs as a bare minimum. Okay, after
Very
that,
bare.
you know, it's all about talent and will. Okay, you got the talent, but you don't have the will. They need the match if you want to go, if you want to survive. But luckily for us, if they make it into the first round, you got 3 games to prove that you
Oh, that's
belong to
true.
stay.
I forgot about
Right.
that.
It's going to be a
Great.
series. Okay. Why they do that, I have this is MLS. I don't know why they can't just leave the playoff format alone. I mean,
Silly.
the one and done
Silly.
was just
Silly.
proper. Okay. The 2 games, the 2 games were traditional. The one and done was just proper. I don't understand why they just couldn't leave that alone. Of
don't
course,
know
naturally,
either.
we always
Right.
enjoy your comments and everything else. Carlos Cano comes up with the road wins in this league makes no sense. At least 75% of the team in this league has a losing record on the road. That's true. Which basically, to me, the road, winning on the road is so precious. Okay, if you can do, I always feel that if you're a team that can able to do it consistently, you're one of the best teams in the league. You're not only doing it at home, you're also doing it on the road. I've always felt that good teams win at home, great teams win, period. And if you're able to do that and someone, ruin someone's day at somebody else's house, regardless of who they are, then you're a baller squad. Of course, Evil Daddy, a.k.a. Mark Coates. I said, we think we have to adjust our expectations as far as this team is concerned. And that goes to a lot of what you said, Miguel. Fans need to have a championship mentality, and start being more honest with the squad they follow. I mean, going to the games with your friends and drinking and everything else, that's fine, considering that how the world is these days. You want to have that little escape. You want to have your fun and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you want to see your team walk off with a W. And whether we like it or not, that's the ultimate aim. And you want to see the fans demand more. Is that right?
Wait, hold on, Gary.
Mhm.
It's not the ultimate. It's not the ultimate aim for.
It is not.
The
Winning
Red,
is not the ultimate.
No, for the Red Bull Corporation.
Okay.
They couldn't care less if we win anything here.
Well, based on what you just said, do you think the
Yeah.
fan? Okay, let me finish. This is something that many of my friends who follow the European model, of soccer, they really call us sports fans who like soccer, not soccer fans. Because if you were soccer fans, the place would be even more emptier than it is now, because fans would be saying, "Wait a minute, this is not acceptable under any circumstances, and we want change immediately." But there's this passive aggressive mentality among the fan base. It's like they're pretty much baked in, feeling that, it is what it is.
Except when Mike Pecky gets fired, then everybody's got pitched. Okay,
it was a riot.
But
I was there, God. Front row seat.
But the actual players that we sign and the actual results that we get, everybody's fine with. That's what gets to me, Gary. Okay, Thank you.
This is based on what you said earlier. If it was a red card on the field with Amaya, there was no problem, but not sure enough as an overturn to me. I think you agree with the referee, and so did John, that there was no there, so they're gonna move on. But that disciplining committee, they always pop up at the last minute, and somehow between now and before the match even kicks off, we're gonna get a notification saying, "Oh, Amaya, you're gonna have to sit this one out." I don't know why.
No, there's no way. There's no way they give that, Gary. There's no way they give that. There's no way they give that.
Did they retroactively suspend a Charlotte player who nearly knocked Cameron Harper out in Charlotte back in March?
No, I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you. Referees have been treating this team like garbage. Okay, like they're not giving them any, any respect whatsoever. But the funny thing about this league is that just when you think that just when you think you get away with it, somebody got wrong before this. So I've seen it happen with other teams, with other players, and there's no different why it won't happen to us. Carlos Cano again. And what it continues to baffle me about this team, we see this statistically match after match after match. Okay, they pop up a lot of shots, right? A lot. Okay, there was over 14 shots on this match alone against Columbus, and can't seem to score goals. The only goals we got was just one. So to me, it's like this team is losing not for the lack of trying, Miguel. I mean, they're making shots,
Gary,
but
Gary,
they're not scoring.
Gary, we're tryhards, okay? Try hard. We try hard, okay? But that doesn't mean that we're winners, Gary, okay? You know, how many chances?
Quantity versus quality. I get you.
How many shots has Elias Manuel had that hit the post or the bar and stuff, you know? But Gary,
that man needs therapy. You can't
almost doesn't.
That poor man needs therapy. Okay.
Dr.
I can't.
Dr. Sharon Feldstone.
I mean, it's just, oh, well. I mean, the guy's got tough luck. If you got no luck, you got no luck alone. Listen, we get on the refs and some of it joking around, but yes, there's an easy scapegoat when things don't go our way. I've always felt, you know, and I agree with Carlos with this. We always felt that blaming the refs over losses, you know, whatever the case may be, it's like a poor man. It's like a poor carpenter blaming his tools. At the end of the day, you know, what you do on the pitch counts. You have to actually, you know, impose your will on, you know, referees are by design is supposed to follow the flow of the game. And it only, you know, they only supposed to get in there when there's something that is completely obvious. But as we've all seen, referees for some dumb reason seem to, you know, like want to be part of the play. There are some referees that are notorious for that. But overall, I can't say the officiating has gotten better.
What's the guy's name? Fortis Busacos. That's the
guy.
Oh my God.
That guy. That guy. He's not as he's not as bad as Ricardo Salazar. That dude was a diva.
God,
okay.
He
always
Ricardo Salazar. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
That dude always got, I mean, red cards, you know, red cards that come out of nowhere that, you know, even though, you know, the Lord Almighty can explain. I mean, what, like, okay, where did he get that red card from? I don't know. He got it. So that's basically.
Don't forget Victor Rivas. Victor Rivas, man. Holy Trinity.
He's the second coming. That dude's the second coming. I'm not sure what his deal is, but
don't ever give him games against Orlando ever again. Seriously.
I mean, I don't know what his deal is. I mean, and it's not just with us. This is with every game he's officiated. I don't get it. I'm like, dude, this is not about you. Chill. Okay, let the game flow. I mean, I could be legitimately enjoying a match and he disrupts it. I don't get that guy. I really don't. Red Bull 2 is going to win another trophy before the first team gets one. Well, they might. The way they're playing right now, they might. I'm not going to make that a guarantee. I don't make guarantees. We're only waiting to see what happens there. John Amaral, one of these days we're going to have you live on the show. As much as I have much of a chance of coaching the Red Bulls as Pep did. People are upset, including Lanre right now, who went up there. There's a hole somewhere in that wonderful apartment of his. He punched the wall because he found out that we actually did interview Pep Guardiola for the head coaching job before we settled on Pecky. It's not like we had a chance to hire the guy. I mean, he
was living in New York City.
Yeah, he was.
The dude was living in New York City.
Yes,
he was in a sabbatical. He could have taken the job for like a year or two and then moved on. Okay. So it's not as far-fetched as people would make that up.
No, it's not. I mean, based on he did have a recommendation, Thierry Henry. So there you go. Amaya's positioning was interesting for this one. Push forward to more to deal with Nagby versus waiting. Less flat defensive structure in the middle. Yeah. Amaya, his season was interesting to say the least before his injury, Miguel. Remember we were saying that he was like a second signing, a brand new signing. He was very dynamic on the field. After that, he hasn't been the same. I would like to have that early version of Maya back, and he'd be starting every game.
Yeah, he was like a brand new player. He was injured, right?
Yes.
And then he came back, and it was like a brand new signing. Okay, but he's definitely not been up to that level. Okay, So I would say his career here at New York Red Bulls, since he was acquired, that was like during the COVID season, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right, because he came in at the end of the previous season.
He was drafted by Cincinnati and did not go well. He wanted out. So,
but it's been an up and down tenure for the player here, But what are you gonna do? Okay,
Mark Coates, we're going to be seeing next week. Well, Miggy is right. We are 3 points out of the playoffs. The bottom half of the conference is too tight right now, so we need to step it up while we're sitting at home this fall. Yeah, I mean, you like I said, that disturbing sound you hear in the background is the clock ticking. And it's the longer you stay, the longer you stay. You need to step it up a bit if you have anything, if you want to make the playoffs for yet a 14th year only to get knocked out. Although this little wrinkle with 9 teams going into the playoffs just might save the Red Bulls this come around. We'll see how that happens.
But that's the trophy here, Garry. You understand that? That's the trophy.
Not to me.
That's the we've made the playoffs trophy. Okay, people love that. Okay,
not I.
No. Look, we've made the playoffs. An X team that spent X amount of millions for these players did not make. As a matter of fact, if Miami doesn't make the playoffs, it's going to be the same thing. Look, Miami, look who they got. Messi, blah, blah, blah. They didn't make the playoffs, okay?
Well, you're going to stay with us?
What?
You're going to stay with us? You're going to stay with us?
I'm going to say, listen, the reason that I love that Miami is doing this, that Messi's in the league, that's all these other guys, because I could sell my Miami FC tickets for hundreds of dollars, man.
Okay.
I can recoup my investment.
That's the real reason, yes.
Thank you.
Resale. You and 15 other guys in the group are thinking pretty much the same way.
What?
All right, listen.
I sold my tickets. I sold my 2 Messi tickets.
I haven't.
You know what?
I haven't sold mine.
I haven't yet. I haven't sold mine yet.
Those
I'm on the fence with that one.
They paid for my season tickets, Garry. Come on.
I just might do that. Then we'll see what happens. We're running out of show. Better to have something to let them walk for free. Sad point is we won't sign anyone of equal talent to replace him. And I think this is the hammer that's meeting the nail comment, because while watching Caceres go, I mean, it's great for him. He's moving on to a better league, but the idea is, I've said this before in our pre-show, the question isn't that whether or not he's, what baller is leaving the team. The question is who you bringing in to replace him. And if you're not bringing anyone in, then what was the point?
There you go.
To a lot of the fans, the idea is to take that money and bring in someone better. You still haven't got a lockdown for. You haven't gotten 4 guys that it's a lock for the midfield. We used to have that, but we don't. It seems that once again we have we have a revolving door of midfielders. Okay, until we get our big gun back, our best offensive midfielder, it's not going to change. And our final word, of course, goes to John Amaral. Drew needs to step up. Stroud started hot, but he's leveled off. Neither CCJ, but need to play up to his, level. And I agree with that. There, this goes by what I said about the midfield. I'm looking for 4 guys that's going to lock those positions down. That every time you see see the lineup guys, it's those guys again. Only because we know they're that good. Okay, and so let's talk about, of course, predictions. We're going to talk about Red Bull New York versus New England. What do you say on that match, Lanre?
2-0
final
loss.
Score. 2-0 loss.
2-0 loss?
2-0 loss. Yes. I'm so serious, man.
John's going to come after you.
Garry.
Okay. Oh, I'm ready for the smoke, man. Bring it over here, bro.
Listen, I can believe it, Garry. I can believe that scoreline, but I'm going to go the opposite way.
You're going to go the opposite way.
I'm going to go victory. New York Red Bull. against New England. Thank you.
I'm going to be
score? What
cautious
score?
about this. I'm going to be cautious about this. I'm going to say 1-1. Okay. The only reason why, because once again, still having issues scoring. We're going to be throwing a lot of shots, but not a lot of goals. It all depends on who's going to be starting. Now, if we see Tom Barlow, okay, I'm not hitting that boy, but I can't, expect him to score. Now, if you put Van Zier on top along with Manuel, okay, now we're talking. Okay, you need to put some firepower up front, and then you bring Barlow to shut the game down. Because if you're going to run that guy ragged and disrupt things, and from these guys building the ball in the back, you're going to need someone like Tom Barlow to do just that. He's your latest version of Miguel. He can be. You can't count on him to score, but he can be a disruptor. And so that's the role of that.
Our latest version of Miguel. That's a good one.
Wheel of Fortune.
And we'll see. You know what? We're laughing about Miguel, but he's doing well, in Nashville. All right. Gotham versus Portland Thorns. What's the deal, Miguel? Win? They have to win. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, it's going to be a loss. Are you kidding? They couldn't.
A loss?
It's good. Yeah,
Damn.
It's going to be. You know what?
Oh.
They couldn't get the job done against Angel City, and Angel City has been bad this season. Okay. And they couldn't, in 0-0. Come on, it's going to be a loss for.
It's going to be a loss. Lanre, what do you say?
2-1 win. Gotham.
Oh, okay.
Wow, out on the list.
You do realize to keep track of these predictions of ours, right? So
I don't have the worst record. Your friends will call me jinx, but I don't got the worst record. So
technically, you're in third place, but go ahead. But go ahead.
Technically, you're in third place. Somebody keeping track of these predictions?
Come on. Our final prediction: New York Red Bull 2. New York City FC. Oh, by the way, Gotham FC for me is going to be I see them as a 1-0 win for these guys.
Wow.
I'm going to see them score a goal finally. Final match, of course, our predictions: New York Red Bull 2, NYCFC 2, Sunday at the campus.
3-1.
3-1
W.
3-1 W. Miguel?
Wow. You know what? I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory. New York Red Bulls. 2.
Okay. So we're talking. Okay, so let as I say, let's put this in the books. We're talking about 2 victories and a draw. Okay, so far for our teams and everything else. And of course, as always, and this is going to be, this is going to be a very fun weekend. Look at it this way: we got the 4th coming up on Tuesday. We got. Soccer this weekend. If this isn't a very good, time to go see your team, this weekend, you got the Red Bulls on Saturday. You got Gotham FC on Sunday. If you're interested, you can go check out New York Red Bulls 2 at the campus, on Sundays where, take a pick, go out there and see a game. Of course, naturally, we have our nation's birthday, the 250th, by the way, for this wonderful country of ours, the United States. May I introduce a word of caution to all of our good friends out there? Hey, as far as the fireworks is concerned, kindly please leave it to the professionals. Yeah. I know you want to entertain your family and friends, but that's what my next door neighbor thought before he burnt down his house.
Wow.
That was 3 years ago because so what I'm saying to each and every one of you, please enjoy, have a very safe and very sane 4th, and for the love of Pete, kindly please leave the fireworks to professionals. Don't be a meme. I really wouldn't like it. One of my friends saying my dude burned down the house because he was stupid. Okay, so leave the fireworks to the pros, please. Okay, I don't want to see people coming to the stadium saying got their hand blown off or something like that because they thought there was a good idea to blow it up on TikTok. Folks, as always, it's been a terrific honor to do this with you guys. The show, as always, next week is going to be fun. Carlos Cano will be with me, of course, along with Mark Coates. We're going to talk about everything that went wrong in this upcoming weekend with Gotham FC, New York Red Bulls 2, and, of course, the New York Red Bulls as they take on New England. Man, I think we covered just about everybody and everything. We will see you all next week. Of course, this show has always been done with your benefit, and we'd love for you guys to stick around. Once again, if you guys want to catch next week's show, all you have to do is like and subscribe, to our YouTube channel, and every time when we got a new show coming up, you'll be the first one alerted. So, for Lanre Badmus and, of course, Miguel Nunez, we thank you guys so much for joining us this Monday. We will see you next week. Woo. Have a very safe and happy 4th, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday. Good night.
And come on, you Gunners. Come on, you Gunners. Thank you.